Welcome, Lumineers and fans of the happiest card game on earth. No face cam today. I came home all revved up to do a video and realised that I hadn't charged the battery on my camera. So you just get to look at some Lorcana images and not my beautiful mug. But still, it's been a hot minute since our last video, so we're going to dive straight in. Before we get to the new cards, a couple of things though. First of all, I am going to be at Gen Con this year. Very excited to sort of not officially announce it or anything like that, like people are waiting to hear, but I was still waiting for a few sort of balls in the air to all be caught properly. So, but yes, I'm going to be at Gen Con. Can't wait. Did manage to get myself both a learn to play for Lorcana, because I've got no clue how the game works, obviously, and also a ticket for one of the starter deck tournaments. But I'm going to be there for the whole week, doing loads of other things as well. I'm not sure about any sort of official meetups or anything yet, but if there is one, I will be there, and I can't wait to see anyone else who is there as well. We're going to have an absolute blast, and it'd be great to get our hands finally on some Lorcana. Talking about getting our hands on Lorcana, I am also very pleased to announce that the game store that I manage was accepted into the hobby store program for Lorcana as a organised play venue, which is really exciting. That means that not only will we be receiving Lorcana products to sell, it also means that we will be getting the organised play kits to offer for people who come and play, the badges and the foil promo cards and all that sort of stuff. Super exciting. We're still waiting to hear about actual allocation of product, which we should get in the coming weeks, but it is very exciting. I will say now, before people ask in the comments, because people have already asked me, we don't ship out card game products. So whilst we do online shopping, we don't ship new card products, whether that's Lorcana or also with Magic or the Bandai games such as One Piece or Digimon. We are really big on supporting our local community, so all of the card game stuff that we get in the store does go out to our local folks who come in. Hopefully that will include some new folks with Lorcana. We're really hoping to attract some more sort of casual and family players, which is awesome, but we're not going to be shipping stuff out to the other side of the country just because we charge a good price or whatever. It is going to be really focused on getting the players of London, Ontario and the surrounding area having their cards in their hands. If you are from London or the surrounding area, you're very welcome to check us out. We're called The Game Chamber and we're on Dundas Street. We have a really large game room. We're one of the largest stores in Southern Ontario, and we have one of the largest game rooms as well. We're very proud of our game room. We're very proud of our play space and what we do with it. So we're really honoured to receive the Lorcana sort of seal of approval there. And we look forward to running Lorcana in the store. Anyway, there has been quite a few cards since the last video. At time of recording, 3 of these have come out today. But I am going to go scroll back, because I did say I would cover every single card on the channel. So we're going to scroll back a little bit to a post that came out on social media showing off 6 ally cards, and I didn't cover them at the time because a lot of the information was actually covered up on them, so it was kind of tricky to see all of them. A couple of them had already been shown before, but the new ones were Timon, who was a 1-costed inkable 1/2 for 1 lore, Storyborn ally in amber, and he has the ability to taste like chicken. When you play this character, you may remove up to 1 damage from a chosen character. Whether or not the heal that's on the onto the board there is worthwhile or not, I don't think we've really truly seen yet. Seems to me that things either die or they don't get hit. But you know what? It's free. Basically, the card's getting played. You might as well tick up a damage for it. So that's not a real problem there. Also, it's an amber and it's a cheap card, so it fits really nicely into the Stitch Rockstar deck as well. So more support for that seems really good. Also, we saw a 5-costed inkable 5/6 with 1 lore in steel, a Storyborn card by the name of Cerberus, the 3-headed dog from Hercules there. Looks like he's just a vanilla, but he's a chunky vanilla in steel, which is nice to see. We also have another 1-costed Storyborn ally here, a 1-costed flourishable, inkable, with the flourish there. I think it's 2/2. I'm pretty sure that's been confirmed somewhere, although the art here I have from Lorcania might be a little out of date. Let's have a look. Sergeant Tibbs, Courageous Cat, for 1 law, but yeah, maybe we don't know his toughness. He's a 2 power, but we don't know the toughness there, but it has been confirmed that he's 1 law. Again, a little body. It looks like this, it's probably going to be a 2-2, I think. The 1 costed 2-2 for 1 law seems to be a cycle, which means we get 1 in each color, and this looks like it's going to be the ruby one. Next up, we have a 3 costed inkable 1 for 1 law in Emerald, Storyborn ally Iago Loudmouth Parrot. You got a problem? You can exert him to give a chosen character reckless during their next turn. Really good. It's not, personally, I don't think it's quite as strong as the Beast is Mine, which is an action card that gives a character reckless for the same cost. Even though this does give you a body, it also gives the opponent something pretty easy to hit. So you're going to exert this to give something reckless. Problem is, exerting it then makes it a target for a challenge. So basically they can reckless back into it and just take 1 damage from its toughness, from its power. So it's not as not quite as strong as the Beast is Mine, where you can really be selective about basically what they have to challenge back into, but still being able to make something not able to quest, I personally feel like is the stronger part of the reckless ability. So it's still pretty good just to take something out of the questing pattern. So they came out a few weeks ago. A little bit after that, then they really looks like they've started ramping up now to get to launch. I think somebody did the math, and basically they can show a few cards a day now, and they'll just about show the set before Gen Con, and that may well be what we see. We had 3 cards revealed just today, and we'll go over those in a moment. But first of all, a few others that happened last week at time of recording. First off, we got Genie on the job. He's a 6-costed non-inkable 3/4 for 2 law in Emerald, a storyborn ally with the evasive keyword, and also the ability disappear. When you play this character, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. This seems pretty strong. The one thing I will say about this, not necessarily just Genie, but I'm seeing a lot of people online really devalue cards if they're non-inkable. Now, obviously, it is not a great feature of a card that it can't be used in the inkwell, but I don't quite feel like it's as detrimental as people are making out. I do think that you have to be very careful about how many of these you're going to be putting into your deck. There are people who are much cleverer than me that are doing the math as to sort of exact numbers as to how many you should have. But I don't think they should be ignored completely, and I think a deck with only inkable cards is going to be markedly weaker than ones without. So I do think it's going to be a bit of a give and take. It's going to be a bit of a battle to figure out how many you need, but I do think they are going to be important key pieces in your deck. And the way I think about it is that in Magic the Gathering, for instance, you certainly don't build a deck that is just 60 lands or 100 lands in Commander, although I know there are 99 land decks using Charl of Alara or what have you, but you don't build a deck of cards that is just lands, so you're definitely going to be able to always place a land down, and I think that's the mindset you have to go into with Lorcana. You can't just build a deck that is all inkable cards just because of the fear of not being able to ink a card on a certain turn. I think that a percentage of your deck, 15 to 20% of your cards, can be non-inkable, and you'll see a little detriment in return for the stronger abilities they have. And Genie really is a strong card, even just stat-wise. I feel like it's pretty solid. A 6-costed 3/4 for 2 law isn't awful. Give him evasive as well, makes him even stronger, and then he's technically, almost a 2-for-1 in the fact that as he comes down, you're bouncing something back from your opponent as well. It's just giving you a real good bit of extra juice there. I think he's a really solid card. He's a super rare, so not quite legendary, but I still think he's a solid card, and I can definitely see him being played as the top end of a lot of green decks. Next up, we have another little 1-drop. He's a 1-costed inkable card, 2/2 for 1 law Dreamborn ally Archimedes, highly educated owl. A vanilla, but a pretty solid one. Not quite as good as the Maleficent card that we have in the same color, but you know, you can only run 4 of everything in the deck, so some decks are just going to want to run both of these. So far, I still think the low-costed rushing type decks, where you just play lots of small creatures and get them turning sideways for questing early on before your opponent is really able to retaliate, is still probably one of the strongest deck archetypes in the first set here. I do think that's going to change if we, or assumingly, we will see some sort of targeted removal, lots more targeted removal than we already have, but also some AoE damage, which we'll talk about in a moment with the Beast card that I'm about to show. But yeah, I do think that those cards will get a little bit weaker as we see some more damage that sort of AoE, area of influence, area of effect even, basically picks off a little bit of damage off each character rather than targeting one individually. Each character, loses one, takes 1 damage or what have you, will make the sort of weenie decks or the go wide decks a little weaker, but right now they're pretty strong, and this is the exact sort of card that you're going to be throwing into those decks if you are in this color. Next up, Rafiki, Mysterious Sage. He's a 3-costed, non-inkable 3/3 for 1 lore. He's a Dreamborn Mentor Sorcerer with the Rush keyword. Basically means he can challenge the turn he is played. A 3/3 with Rush is pretty solid. I think, not a terrible stat line. The fact that he's non-inkable is obviously something to consider. But for 3, otherwise, I feel like he's pretty good. And again, he's going into those sort of quicker rush decks, not necessarily rush the keyword, but rush in the fact that you're just going to get a lot of things on the board and you're going to get them questing quickly. He can definitely deal with something that your opponent has played early to keep up the tempo on your side of the board. I also think the sorcerer keyword is going to be really interesting there. I definitely think we're seeing a sorcerer deck come out of these colors here. Mentor maybe a little bit. I don't know. I'm trying to think what mentors we've seen now. I think Maurice was a mentor, and I'm going to guess there's probably one others that I just cannot think of. No, just checked, and yes, the only other classification mentor so far is Maurice. So I think that's as strong right at the gate right now. I'm sure we're going to see others, but right now the Sorcerer one, lots of cards with Sorcerer as a classification. I'm sure we're going to see that one come into play a lot more in the future. Moving on, next up we have another Emerald card, Beast Wolfsbane. He is a 5-costed non-inkable 4/4 for 2 lore with the classifications Dreamborn, Hero, and Prince. He has the Rush ability, much like Rafiki that we just saw. He also has the ability Roar. When you play this character, exert all opposing damaged characters, and I do think this is going to be part of a package that deals with these smaller character decks that we're seeing at the moment that are doing really well, the Stitch Rockstar decks and what have you. I do think this is going to be part of a package that sort of deals with that. This was very originally shown as a super blurry image on a page of the Illuminator's Trove that I can't even remember where it came from now. I do apologize, but basically we could see this, and we could see a Steel Tinkerbell card, I think, and maybe a Tinkerbell card at least, definitely, I'm pretty sure it was, and we're pretty sure that the Tinkerbell card is going to ping everything for 1, so the Tinkerbell card is going to come down and it's going to do 1 damage to all of the characters on your opponent's board, and then afterwards you're going to be able to play the Beast. It's going to make all of those exerted, and then with the Rush then of Beast as a 4/4, you're pretty much going to be able to pick off whichever of their cards needs to be dealt with the quickest. I definitely see that's going to be a combo. They show the 2 cards at the top of the page, and then the page goes on to, we imagine, describe how those sort of combo pieces work together. So that's really exciting, because as much as I actually really enjoy weenie decks, I really enjoy playing lots of cheap cards for a few reasons. One, I just like to put cards down on the table and turn them sideways. I'm a bit of a classic card game player in that response, really. I'm not necessarily a huge combo player or a huge responsive player with, counters and what have you. I kind of just like putting cards down and doing what the game wants you to do in its simplest form. Always have. I like the fact that the decks are very often cheaper to build, because these little cards with not much else going about them are usually lower rarities and usually more easily available. And yeah, just in general, it's a play style I very much enjoy. Play lots of different things, to be honest. I really like the look of the Musketeer stuff that we're seeing so far. But yeah, I can totally see the Stitch Rockstar deck, or the Weenie deck, or whatever you want to call it, being something that I play with. But saying that, I still think it's really good that we see some responses to the card game. A lot of to that deck. A lot of these card games really boil down to a game of rock, paper, scissors. Everything you build should be strong in its own right, but then also have a caveat, have a response to it in another deck archetype, and I think that's really important to see. And that, I think, is the beginnings of what we're seeing here with Beast's Wolfbane. After that, quite recently, we saw Goofy Musketeer. So first of all, Goofy Musketeer stat line, it is a 5-costed Inkable 3/6 for 1 lore in Amber with the classification Dreamborn Hero, and Musketeer, the second one of those that we've seen now. He has Bodyguard and 2 for T. When you play this character, you may remove up to 2 damage from each of your Musketeer characters. So there's a single deck that this goes into, and it is the Musketeer deck. So far, we have Goofy the Musketeer, and we have Mickey Mouse the Musketeer, and I would be very surprised if we don't see a Donald Duck Musketeer, and then maybe even a 4th one, maybe somebody like Pete. Although in the show Pete isn't a musketeer, he's the king, I think. But like I definitely think we'll get those 3 at least. We may even get like a Floodborn Musketeer that's a completely different character, or maybe we'll see a second Goofy Musketeer or a second Donald Musketeer as well. I don't know if necessarily we'll see more Mickeys, one in each color we have now. That's probably it for the first set, but who knows? I do definitely think that a Musketeer deck is going to be something that we're going to see play, and obviously they're all just going to want to help each other out and do stuff with that keyword. The other interesting thing about Goofy, though, is that he has been shown as a promo card that's going to be available at Gamescom. Gamescom is a convention in Köln, I think it is, in Germany, and it's going to be taking place... when is it? Hold on, I have it open here. It's going to be August, so it's just after Gen Con. It's actually just after the game has come out, actually. So the game will be in people's hands at this point. But it's going to be a promo card. It will have a promo symbol at the bottom of it. The one you're seeing here is just its regular rarity, I think. But yeah, it will actually have a sort of Gamescom logo stamp at the bottom of it. It may well be foiled as well. I don't think we know that so far. I think this is awesome. Again, they've multiple times they've said it. I'm going to say it every time this topic comes up, just in case people are new here or not heard this before. There are no exclusive cards available outside of the set. Goofy Musketeer will be available as a card that you can open in a regular booster pack. In fact, all of the cards that you see are all going to be available in regular booster packs. All of the promo cards, they're just slightly different versions. For the most part, we think it is just the rarity symbol at the bottom is different. May well be that the foiling is different on them as well. But as it stands, all of the promo cards, that's those ones being part of the organized play kits, being the ones that are available at conventions, such as the original D23 cards, also this one here from Gamescom, perhaps one we might see at Gen Con as well, we don't know yet. But all of them are mechanically not unique. They will be available in the set. I think that's worth pointing out. A few people have said that it's not good that this is happening. It's going to make them, very rare. That's the point. It's a promo. I don't think it's a problem. I think if you want to chase these, you can. But, it's probably going to be expensive unless you are in Germany and are going to the convention already. The actual convention itself is very accessible. I think it's like €25 to get in for the day or something like that. Obviously, if you're sort of looking at this from an American-centric viewpoint, it's going to be expensive to go to Gamescom. But if you're in Germany or in Europe and you travel to Gamescom, then this is going to be a real nice icing on the cake for you. And I think it's awesome that people are going to be able to pick these up and have something, almost a part of the history of the game. One of the first early promos. I think it's fantastic. One comment I saw said that promos should be accessible to everybody and not the rich. Unfortunately, that's just not how this thing works. Collecting anything is expensive. Certainly collecting promos of something like this is even more expensive. You've only got to look at the D23 cards to see that. I am not super rich. I will not be spending $1,000 for this card on eBay. I am happy for the people who are able to get one, and I'm happy for the people who've got money to burn to buy one if they want to. That's cool as well. It just raises the profile of the game, and that is just a good thing. I'll be happy with the basic version I pull from a pack in a few weeks' time. Next up, we have one that kind of went under the radar. I swear that I saw this last week, and I thought I'd written the name down, but now I'm looking at my notes and I hadn't. So maybe it was just a weird fever dream. It's been a long weekend waiting to find out if we got part of the hobby store program, and also we had a big One Piece pre-release, and we also had a Digimon tournament, and there was like 40k, had Leviathan released, and it was our local city's Comic-Con. It's been a long couple of days, so maybe I did just kind of half misremember this from this morning. I don't know. Anyway, Sven, official ice deliverer. He's a 6-costed inkable 5/7 for 1 lore in Amethyst with the classifications Storyborn and Ally. He's a vanilla. Not much else to say about him, really. He's a chunky vanilla, but yeah, I don't know. I can't see him seeing that much play, honestly, unless you're really trying to just sort of fill a cheap deck out. Cards like this do suggest that they are considering some sort of limited format, be that draft or limited, sort of where you build a deck out of 6 packs or something like that. Because that's these are chaff for those kind of things. But then also, 204 cards, they can't all be bangers, right? Because otherwise, if they all become amazing, then none of them are amazing, and the game's just too high powered. So, so a good chunk of the cards do have to just be sort of solid, solid vanilla cards like this. Art is awesome as always. Very few pieces of art so far I've seen that I've not liked in this game, honestly. Literally, I can think of 2 cards that I don't like the art of. I'm not even going to name them because I think it's unfair to the artists. They've worked incredibly hard on them. But for the most part, I pretty much love what I see on all of these. Next up, we had Rapunzel letting down her hair. She's a 6-costed, uninkable 5/4 for 2 lore in Ruby with the ability Tangle. When you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore. Well, did the Discord talk about this one today? I actually think she's pretty good. I play multiplayer a lot in card games. I pretty much, at the moment, exclusively play Commander in Magic, apart from pre-releases and the occasional draft. So I see anything that says each opponent as much stronger than it perhaps probably is. I don't necessarily think this is a very strong card in a regular 1 versus 1 game, but I think in a multiplayer game, this is almost like a 5 lore turn, right? This is like a 5 lore switch, basically. Each of your opponents in a 4-player game is losing 1 lore, and then on the next turn you're going to be able to quest for 2. She's a princess, which goes nice with a lot of stuff that we've seen already. She's in Ruby, which seems to be perhaps the color that makes opponents lose lore. The only other time we've seen this ability is on another Ruby card in Aladdin. I think it's good. I think the art is fantastic. I think it's flavorful. I don't know. Yeah, some people really not liking this. Some people loving it. I'm probably somewhere in the middle, but I don't think it's terrible, and I think it's obviously going to be better in multiplayer, which is where, I'll be honest with you, I think once we're up and running, a lot of my games are going to be. And finally, to celebrate 6/26, it is the 26th of June today, which is 26/6 if you're like me and do the date properly, like British people do. But if you're in North America, 26/6 is the date today, and Experiment 626 is Stitch. So we capped off the day with a Stitch reveal. He's a 7-costed inkable 4/8 for 2 lore in Amber. Stitch, Carefree Surfer. We did see the art for this a while ago. I think it's on one of the binders, perhaps. I think Dreamborn Hero Alien Ohana. When you play this character, if you have 2 or more other characters in play, you may draw 2 cards. This is good. This is a good card. I'm going to say it. I try and hedge my bets a lot of the time because, as Dan from Hobbies and Happiness will often tell me, we don't know anything about this game yet. But I'm just going to say this is a good card. It's 7. It's expensive, but this is the top end of this deck. It works well with the other Stitch. Because you're most likely, if you're running Stitch Rockstar, you're going to want to have lots of little creatures out. Yeah, this is good. I'm calling it. This is good. There's an Amber deck with both of the larger Stitches at the top end of it. I don't know what the other color is. I think it's probably Sapphire. I'm trying to think of stuff that where you benefit from drawing a card. Because that's probably going to be the thing, right? If do we have anything so far that says when you draw a card, ... happens? because if you do, then that definitely goes into this. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything that really triggers off card draw right now, but I definitely think that Amethyst is the colour to go with Amber for this deck archetype, mostly because Amethyst has a lot of cheaper one-drop cards in it. It has things like Pascal and Olaf, but then also it has a little bit of like top deck manipulation, such as the Yzma card. Whenever this character quests, look at the top card of your deck, put it at the top or the bottom. So, you can quest with her, you get to filter the top of your deck a little bit, and then, using the card draw that you're going to get from either of the big stitches. Yeah, I definitely think Amber, Amethyst, little things, and with card draw is going to be a deck that we see as well. Things like hi and or hey I think it is, sorry. Yeah, it's going to be a good fun deck. I like the look of that one already. There we go, rattled through these. Probably still going to be a super long video. I apologize. I really pushed for getting this one out because I'm going to be an optimist, and I'm going to say that this is it now. We're going to get a few cards daily, maybe not daily, but I do think we're going to start seeing a severe ramp up in the amount of cards revealed as we start approaching Gen Con, and then obviously not long after Gen Con, the hobby store release, and after that the full big box store release. So I do think we're going to start seeing a ramp up now. So if I'm going to keep on top of these videos, I need to sort of box off the last few weeks where it's been a little bit dribbly. There's been this, there's been that. It's not been full card reveals. There's been the lawsuit that I haven't mentioned on the channel because I don't really know enough about it to warrant talking about it. There are other avenues that know a lot more about it than I do, which I will link to down below, that you can go and see. The Illumineers did an awesome video with a lawyer, which I will link, that is definitely worth looking at. Paul really knew his stuff, or at least sounded like he knew his stuff, and he covers it a lot on Twitter as well. So yeah, it's not really my place to talk about it because I don't want to be giving any false information. So because of all that, yeah, just a bit of a cloud in the sky, and I didn't really want to, just sort of talk about half-revealed cards and what have you. But I do think now we're going to start to see an upturn in reveals. And also now I've been confirmed, or the store at least has been confirmed as like an official place that you're going to be able to get Lorcana. That was the last little sort of niggle that I had, the last sort of little issue that I had about this game was that, what if we don't even get any product, and I'm gonna have to sit here and try and make videos about something that I don't own. But now I know that I'm gonna get my hands on some at least. Worst case, I'll get my 2 starter decks from Gen Con, from the 2 events that I'm doing. So, worst case, there'll be a video showing off those. But yeah, it's awesome to have some new stuff revealed. I've got another video coming this week that's going to be a little different, opening some older Disney trading cards, which should be good fun. We're also very close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm going to be giving some goodies away from that, a couple of the most recent Disney 100 minifigs and some of these trading cards that I just mentioned. Going to be lots of good fun. So if you're not already, you want to keep up to date with the Lorcana news, make sure you've hit subscribe. Love you all to bits. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be good.